So this is Fruit Basket 10.5.
10.5, season 2, if you might.
So we, it's kind of interesting. So there's been a long hiatus for anybody who actually, there's been a few people that seem to listen kind of regularly.
Yeah.
And basically what happened was we did a podcast about a month ago, and it was just about sort of the state of the internet and who's getting pushed off of the internet. And it just wasn't funny. It just became dark.
It felt bad. It didn't feel good after we finished it. I felt weird. That was episode 10, right?
Yeah.
It would have been episode 10.
No, it would have been 11. The lifestyle blogger one was 10. So this is why this is 10.5.
Every time
11.5, sorry.
Every time we do a podcast, it's like, what episode is this?
Yeah, no, it's so funny that I fucked it up because I literally just checked that right before we started. But yeah, no, it was just...
We're looking for a new producer if anybody wants to take Jordan's spot.
Yeah, well, that's also actually a good segue into... another thing, which is that we're doing this one audio only, which we may kind of do for the future. I realized, look, I mean, the videos we were putting up on YouTube, and this audio will go on YouTube as well, it was such a fucking production for us.
It took hours to edit those.
Right.
It's not that it's not worth it to do that. It's just the production of it was so much, and it didn't feel like there was like any kind of return for it.
No.
For me at least, it didn't feel like... I felt like there was some success in creating and putting it out there, but after that it just dissipated. Like the feeling of that dissipated for me.
Yeah, and also I was telling you that I want this podcast, for as long as we're allowed to do it, if we ever get any traction, to be as filthy and open as possible.
Right.
And I think that something about the video element made me nervous to do that a little bit. Do you know what I mean? Like, I felt like an extra sense of pressure.
Yeah.
I feel like for some reason we're able to divorce from ourselves a little bit better without having to see us on camera. I don't know if that's totally in my head, but it feels like some sort of reality.
I don't know. I have a lot of experience in front of a camera with my YouTube channel that I used to post on regularly. So I didn't feel the same way, but I totally understand what you mean.
I think it would be interesting.
I used to be a lifestyle blogger, so...
Well, see, here's the thing. So that's actually interesting, because we do have a few people who listen to this. I think probably that Tory Jackson guy, probably, who was a fan of yours on YouTube before, and
now watches or listens to us, right?
Right, and this is not at all even close to the content you were doing on there.
No, we have gone way off course.
Yeah, so I'm curious, like, what was it that made you stop doing kind of I'm a gay guy, boy content?
So towards the end of my YouTube channel is when I started doing that. It was like the last 4 videos that I posted were during Pride Month, and I was like, I'm going to make it a point to post 4 times during this month. And so I did, and they were all gay-oriented things, and that was the theme that I chose. But before that, it wasn't ever really about gay things. I maybe had like 1 or 2 videos before that were about that, but I had a total of like 60 videos up on my channel. A lot of them were just like pointless and silly, and like fucking I waxed my legs for a video one time. I had my friends wax my legs, that is. Like, and it hurt. Like
I remember your really classic video, which was top 20 ways to convince your doctor to finger your asshole.
That was actually one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Because I had to go to 20 different doctors and try out these things, and each time I was like, could you just like stick...
You just felt like the prostate milking wasn't aggressive enough. That's what I remember what you told me in private. And you also
thank you for broadcasting it.
Because you said that it was really important that the rest of the world heard about this. So I figured that you weren't comfortable saying it, but I was willing to broadcast out like how important the prostate milking was, especially from like an immutable foreign doctor of some sort. I don't know, maybe he was from Bangladesh. He was willing to do it for sure.
There's something just especially exhilarating about a foreign doctor just squeezing the cum out of you.
I think it's because they do it with their soulless eyes, which I think sort of...
What are you saying about foreign doctors?
I'm not saying... It's not... The problem is you're getting into this treacherous territory in which you think that I'm talking about all foreigners. I'm just talking about foreign doctors. They're the only ones who don't have souls. White doctors have great souls.
Why? What makes you say that?
I don't know. There's just something about them. They just they validate my existence. They make me feel good.
What about white ginger doctors?
Well, that's a whole separate thing.
It's like the intersection.
Well, because they're all alcoholics.
The intersectionality. So. I'm going to write a thesis on the intersectionality of gingerness and doctorness.
So here's a real question.
Sphere.
If you've had to have some sort of major surgery, like open heart surgery, and the doctor was like, one of those gingers that has, because I'm like a vague ginger, but one of those gingers that like they don't have eyebrows.
You have a whisper of ginger in
A
you.
little whisper, yeah. But like, you know, the ones that just, they don't have eyebrows and they're kind of freaky to look at. Like they're borderline albinos, that kind of thing. Would you want that person to perform open heart surgery on you?
If they're fucking qualified, I'd let them stick a finger in my heart and just wiggle it around. Like, what does this feel like?
You're so progressive. I love it. Because I think that they're the real scourge of the earth.
What?
Yeah.
Gingers?
Yeah, and see, I'm able to, it's kind of like being...
Gingers are the new, like, oppressed group.
Well, and see, that's kind of like why I like to consider myself a double minority, is because I'm able to navigate the world as a gay person. Most people don't know that I am. Also as a ginger, and most people don't know that I am. But if I grew a beard, it would be bright red, and then it would be a dead giveaway. So I have to be very careful to not let any facial hair
you
grow.
feel as if staying in the closet is safer as a ginger.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm able to kind of walk amongst them.
Maybe that's why ginger doctors don't have eyebrows.
That could be.
They shave them off so as to not give any inkling of their
I think that might have a counterintuitive effect, unfortunately. Yeah. But speaking of minorities, I want to talk about. I want to talk about Jussie Smollett. Am I right?
Yes. Bussie Smollett.
Bussie
SmallDick.
I was desperately last night trying to think of names. Boy Bussie SmallDick.
I really do like Bussie SmallDick.
Bussie SmallDick. That's definitely going to be probably what we name this.
He's gay. He's not a pussy.
And he's also Jewish. He's a fucking triple threat.
What?
His dad's Jew. Well, he's not. So that's the thing, right? Your mother has to be Jewish, and that makes you actually Jewish.
Yeah.
So his dad's Jewish, so I think that doesn't qualify. So that's why that didn't get put on the thing too. I think that would have been on the laundry list of things.
Oh, so like Jews would have revolted and been like, "This isn't us."
No. Because the reality is that black people and gay people want this guy to just fucking die at this point.
He should go
because
away.
what he did was so. Okay. I know this has been talked about ad nauseum everywhere.
Yeah, we're very
late to this party, but it is something that I feel like there aren't two gay people that have a podcast that have been able to address this completely. Now, I'm glad that you're here because you can validate that this is true. And I know everybody's fucking saying this now, but I called it from day one.
You did. And I hate admitting that because you have this huge, enormous ego that you just like can't let deflate. You know? So like anytime, I mean, you even fucking, when we watched Arrival, you texted me the ending because you thought the ending was going to be a certain thing and it turned out to be, and you fucking danced. You did a fucking dance around the room, you dumb
Well, I mean,
bitch.
I have all these retarded skills that don't serve me anywhere else in life, and one of them is that, like, seeing movie, because like Arrival is a piece of art. It's Denis Villeneuve. It's like an amazing movie, but I fucking saw that plot twist from a goddamn mile away. I think we're about 45 minutes in the movie, and I called it, right?
You did,
yeah.
Maybe even before that, like when we were introduced to what's his name,
Jeremy Renner.
Yeah, Jeremy Renner.
I already knew, but and so like similarly with hate. You know what it is? I think it's actually just because I consume so much media, and that's not even just movies. It's media in general. That this guy's hate crime was so fucking cartoony from the start, because like that it was so painfully obvious because he added too many fucking details, and that's like what we all do as humans when we lie. We add all these like safety details to kind of like help our lie.
Sure, yeah,
and.
I did the same thing when I got caught lying about my parents finding porn on my computer at 12 years old. I was like, I don't know, I got a virus. I left my computer open overnight. I don't know what happened, because they saw like menover30.com on my browser history.
Or your most visited website, which was small immutable Bangladesh men fingering teen boy's asshole, which was
.net.
.biz, which I think, or .org, because it's like a nonprofit, because it's just, I think everyone should get their prostate milked, straight or gay, by a small immutable Bangladeshi.
Well, yeah, you lie even more to support your lie, because it's just like fortifying. I don't know, it's adding like a pillow. It's another pillow to your pillow fort.
Of course.
It's like making it like softer and more cushiony so people can't like see through it, but it's so obvious. Like this whole Jussie Smollett thing was just. And
it's what's sad is that Nigerians can't escape their scam angle. Sorry, talk for a second.
So fucking.
My stand is falling down. Sorry.
Here we go with racism, though. The Nigerian scam.
Well, I mean.
Well, he hired 2 Nigerian guys to beat him up. And yet.
that question, that little boo boo on his face. Do you think that like that? What do you think that was?
I don't. Maybe he like took his razor.
Yeah.
Like he was shaving. He was like, "Oh God, I got to make this believable." And he just.
No, that's way too gnarly.
Really?
This guy's
What do you
way too
think
much
he
of a
did?
pussy to actually do that. I think that it was maybe.
Oh, that gives me like chills. I'm too much of a pussy.
I think that
pussy.
what it looked like to me is that he would have taken like a rock and just kind of like kept scratching himself till he had a little cut. Like kind of the thing of like how you'll pick at your skin until it bleeds. It was that sort of thing. But I want to introduce something that I think is a take that no one else has had.
Oh my.
So give me 1 second. I gotta do a little production on this.
Okay. It's gonna introduce a take we haven't had before. Oh no, Jordan, please. Well, anyways.
So I want to introduce a segment on because I feel like there are lots more
news to me.
of these things that are going to happen. These kind of fake hate crimes. Speaking of which, also the trans woman in Detroit who burned her animals alive.
Was that a trans woman? I thought it was like a gay couple.
I don't know. She or whatever this person is.
Yeah.
It's like a Pat. She's like a genderless person. I see this person. I can't figure. You know what I mean by Pat? Like
Mr. or Miss Pat.
Yeah, it's like I can't figure out what the fuck this person is. But it's not irrelevant because they're a terrible, horrible person. But that's another one that came out of this trans couple. They had some bill they put forward about anti-discrimination, something or other.
Yeah, and they committed a hate crime against themselves, burning their house down, and then their animals
attention.
were inside.
Yeah, so they
killed their animals.
It was 2 dogs and 3 cats, I think, that they burned alive. But so that, whoops. So on this, let me hang on a second.
Anyways, here's Wonderwall.
Right. So I want to introduce a little thing here, which is the fruits. How do the fruits fake a hate crime?
Did you write this?
How do the fruits fake a hate crime? We gotta fake a hate crime. We gotta fake a hate crime so we don't go to jail. Okay, so
Why would we go to jail ourselves? What do you mean?
well,
So
it's a big
that
question
was
here.
beautiful, Jordan.
Thank you so much.
I
So the
love
big
that
question
so
here
much.
is how do we fake a hate crime like Jussie Smollett and not get caught like he
You're
did?
so cute. Wait, could you turn me up a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
I came down. I think you turned me down to steal the spotlight for a little bit.
Yeah, that's what it was.
So how would we fake a hate crime?
Yeah, I'm gonna let you go ahead and give your thoughts on what you would do.
Well, first we need like the big picture. Like, what is the crime going to be? Is somebody going to beat us up? Is somebody going to burn our house down?
We're going to we're going to do his crime.
Oh, okay.
But we're going to succeed and not get caught.
Okay. So the basis of it is we need to get people to beat us up. And so we need to stage that somehow. What time of day should we do that?
Okay, so
Is 2 a.m. ideal?
you're already making a mistake.
Well, okay.
You're already involving other people.
Wow. Would you
can't-
beat yourself up?
Yes.
Would you hire me to beat you up?
No, I couldn't have you involved.
Okay, but so who's going to beat you up?
Myself. Yeah. So that like it would have that's literally all it would have taken. So look, I mean, if you're going to do something like this, which there was so much planning that went into this for him.
Sure, yeah.
You're going to have to really fucking commit. So that means you're going to have to there's going to be 2 big things that are going to be involved, which is self-harm and involving nobody else.
And like some serious mutilation, like serious self-harm.
Yes. So one of the big ones, which this would have been the simplest one for him to do that would have caused basically no serious bodily harm, is to take the rope and just move it back and forth on his neck.
Give yourself a rope burn.
Exactly.
Maybe do like that thing, like the Indian twist thing when people do that to your arm, do that to your neck. Just
Exactly.
and it makes your neck all red. like if you take, in middle school when people would take your forearm and just like twist it. Yeah, that's what I mean. You gotta do that to your neck.
So is calling that Indian burn, is that racist now?
I guess it is.
Yeah.
It should be.
It's
very racist.
It's a cisgendered white male burn now. But yeah, so okay, that's step one. The area in which that I don't know what to do about this is the buying of the items, because that's also traceable now.
Right.
So much so that these dummies.
You have to pay in cash.
Well, they did.
Yeah.
But which is hilarious. They made Dummy reimburse them for the supplies they bought. But also, Stupids went out and bought everything at the same store.
Right.
So, like, you look at the surveillance footage, and it's got the 2 black masks, the rope. It's got
the hats.
Yeah,
it's a cartoon. It's really a cartoon.
Total cartoon. And then I love that Idiot paid with a fucking check and tried to cover his tracks.
Who do you make that out to? What's the memo on your check?
Well, that's the thing. Is it had a fucking memo. He wrote personal training on it.
What the fuck?
And so, to me, you don't put a fucking memo.
Yeah, you don't even have to.
There's nothing because all of us now that like when this started to unravel, maybe he had no foresight that was going to happen. We look at the memo and we're like, well, obviously this is what you orchestrated this. Like, why wouldn't you just pay them in fucking cash? Why did you insist on using a check, you fucking idiot? Unless in his stupid mind, he thought that this would be like, if they did get caught, this was like a, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a Murphy plan, you know what I mean? Like a backup kind of thing. If they did get caught, but like the idea of him having this much foresight is severely unlikely.
No, yeah, I mean, even like 2 months before he wrote himself that letter, that stupid cartoony crayon marker Crayola letter.
That's one of the best parts. Is that so? We'll get back to how
he didn't have any kind of foresight. He just wanted attention.
Well, we're gonna get back to how we'd fake a hate crime because there's a few things about this. So, did you watch the police chief's like full speech that he gave?
I watched like 4 minutes of it.
Holy shit! Yeah. He just fucking tore him.
Oh yeah,
apart.
He flamed him.
It was so great.
He committed a hate crime on him.
Oh yeah, I mean that's a proper. It was black on black crime. It was so gnarly, and I think the really key part about it is that he said that Jussie Smollett wrote the letter.
Yeah.
Bussie.
Oh my. Yeah, Bussie SmallDick.
Bussie SmallDick.
SmallDick.
So that's a big one. So it's going to be so fucking fun because his court date's this month.
Oh my god.
So I'm very curious to see because this is the kicker, right? So if he had just done this, it's possible that he would have gotten probation or something or like a lesser sentence.
Right.
But I think that the combination of this being such a huge media spectacle, that and also the fact that he did the letter, which the police chief said that it was him. They know it was him that did the letter, which is a federal crime.
Yeah.
And so now he's facing federal charges as well. And so I'm curious if these will be 2 separate trials, or it'll all be one because I don't know about double jeopardy on that, or like I don't really know what exactly will happen.
Double dipping.
But I've heard that like because of the nature of the mail thing, it won't be considered the same crime. They're 2 separate crimes.
Yeah.
So he can be charged for both, like maybe at 2 separate court dates.
Yeah, I imagine.
But
that could be it.
But I think dude's going to prison for sure.
Yeah.
And rightfully so.
Dude, just the well-being of America is just, it was so threatened by this like hoax.
Well, what's so fucking funny to me is that the corpse of that Nicholas Sandman kid wasn't even. It was still warm.
Yeah, he was steaming.
and then retard thought this was a good idea to do this.
Yeah,
which is so beyond
stupid.
me. And I think you should have given it a little bit of time, perhaps, or like this was already in the works before the Nigerians went off to Nigeria. I don't really know what the deal was. But another big question I have is how many people are fucking involved on this? Because what's interesting, and I'm going to go pretty far out there on a conspiracy theory. What's interesting is that
I'll strap myself in.
Cory Booker and Kamala Harris, the 2 people that immediately came out and condemned this on Twitter, like they were within seconds of the story getting reported. They have this weird anti-lynching bill, which to me is like a weird redundancy, right? Like, I don't really think we need a bill that makes lynching illegal because it already is. But what was weird about the anti-lynching bill is it contained all of these strange LGBT protections in it that were sort of, again, redundant and odd and sort of shoehorned into this bill. Like, the bill on its surface was, this bill is retribution for this bill not passing 70 some odd years ago. It was like they tried this a long time ago. And now it seemed as like almost like a symbolic gesture, you know,
Sure.
like almost like passing a thing that like we have national, I don't know, Native American Awareness Day or something because of our terrible history with them or something. It seemed like it was something along those lines. But laced into this bill was these strange LGBT protections that kind of diminished hate crimes against black people, which was like it was really odd the way that it was written.
Huh.
So my question is, were they somehow involved with this?
I would argue no, but honestly, I'm not going to convince you otherwise. I know you have a mind.
I'm
that
not
is,
convinced that this is the case. It's just one of those things that it's too fucking like, as weird as his story is.
Yeah.
It's equally as weird to me that they had this bill and that they were the first to come out and condemn it, and they're the only two that aren't fucking backing down still. Like,
really, they're still on board?
Yeah. So
what are they saying? What the fuck?
Yeah. So their whole deal is it's the same.
I understand if they're like, well, this may have been a hoax, but like we still have to pay attention to hate crimes. This isn't a reason to look away from hate crimes now. I understand that. But if they're doubling down and saying that like it's all a lie, that this isn't a hoax, like that they're still in support of Jussie Smollett, then I think there's something wrong with them.
So they're saying the former thing that you're saying.
Okay.
But to me, that's weasel. It's like weasel language.
Really?
Yes, because like basically like what they needed to do was to come out and say, we were duped by this asshole who sowed division between races right now, which is so odd. I don't know if it's the advent of the internet or the media or what the deal is, but races are so fucking, at least the way that it's reported, like I don't really feel like we're divided in person, but for some reason the media narrative is so intense that we're so fucking divided. And I think a lot of it is that people are losing grip of their victim status because they're not really victimized in any way. So much so that this is a perfect example of supply and demand. There's a huge demand for hate crimes, but not a huge supply of them actually happening. So if you go to fakehatecrimes.org, the list is just huge, and especially after Trump got in, of like needing I get it, growing up being gay, like the counterculture was fun, but we have to admit that it's dead and it's been killed, and we're pretty much in the safest country ever. We are in the safest place ever to be gay, other than like maybe Amsterdam. But like, I think that in general, the likelihood of you being harmed because you're gay is super unlikely. And then everyone goes, well, what about Alabama? And it's like, if there was a hate crime that was clear against a gay person in Alabama, it would be as big of news as this Jussie Smollett thing.
Of course.
And so like, I think that the only time that you see these things getting sort of stifled is when they're odd. Like, this one wasn't allowed to be odd because he's so Juicy asshole. What are we calling him?
Bussie SmallDick.
Yeah, Bussie SmallDick.
Juicy asshole. Jordan.
He made the mistake of. Why did he do the Good Morning America interview?
I have no fucking clue. I honestly think there's obviously something very wrong with him.
No. There's mental illness for sure.
Yeah, and he's missing this kind of attention that he needed. And I don't know if that's fueled by like social media or whatever, because like, I mean, like you were saying, it's like victimhood is kind of popular.
It's capital. It's money.
Yeah, so him getting this attention is the popularity from his victimhood. Like him having a fake hate crime committed against him gave him like this spotlight that maybe he wanted. Well, he definitely wanted.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just fucking. What do we do? Like, what do we do about this? I mean,
well, this is the really crazy kind of thing.
We can't just discount all hate crimes though from here on out.
No, but again, it's like I think that it's kind of like a similar thing of how autism is on the rise, therefore it validates the anti-vaxxers.
God, I fucking hate
But they
that.
don't think about the reality. The reason why that's happening, that autism is on the rise, is because we're recognizing how wide the spectrum is and how like basically like we all knew that annoying kid in our class, and now looking back on it, he was autistic.
Like, oh yeah, he had autism. Yeah, some form on the spectrum somewhere.
Correct.
Yes.
Like where it's like social cues don't make any sense. It's all that kind of nonsense of like just nagging, annoying behavior. Generally is autism, or like that weird kind like, and again too, like this is a really controversial thing to say, but I think that like a lot of this non-binary stuff is some sort of spectrum disorder as well.
Well, like, I mean, you have a degree and your focus was degree in psychology, and your focus was on kids with autism, wasn't it?
Right, and
so there's qualifications that you have.
Right, but even then, it's like even among like there's like all the it's kind of like hearing statistics about like crime and stuff. It doesn't support the narrative that the far left wants to use, but it's kind of that thing I've been saying to you of like knowing hate facts, quote unquote, is spewing them to an uninitiated audience is just seen as hateful.
Yeah.
And I think they kind of have a point, because it's one of those things of like, most people are really fucking stupid and can't process this information without turning it into hatred in their mind. It's sort of like the bell curve thing with Charles Murray. It's like, there was one chapter about race and IQ, and it shouldn't have been used as a judgment against a whole group of people. It was mostly just to see why there may be economic disparities amongst different groups of people. But unfortunately, when you have someone like Jared Taylor get out and use those in order to like push a racist narrative, dummies will follow him who don't have the cognitive ability to sort of question the usefulness of this and also how it's being used. And so I think that it's very similar with hate crimes, where they're not on the rise. They love to say that they are.
I think they're down.
Hang on. But because it's similar with the autism thing, where what we're classifying as hate crimes has become so fucking wide. And the perfect example is recently in New York, there was a public school and there was chalk drawings on the playground that said "Hail H-A-L-E Hitler," right? So not even spelled correctly, not H-E-I-L Hitler. It was spelled incorrectly, and so anyone with a discerning brain goes, "Oh, this is just some fucking punk 10-year-old kid who was being edgy and probably spends time on Reddit or whatever." But New York got their hate crime task force, classified this as a hate crime, arrested the 10-year-old we all knew that did it, and he's now being charged with some sort of hate crime.
Oh my God.
And so that's now in the books as a hate crime, right?
Yeah.
And it's nothing. It literally would have just taken a hose to spray the shit off the sidewalk. So that's why these things seem bigger than they actually are. But I'm of the opinion that hate crimes shouldn't even carry a larger charge, because it's why we have involuntary manslaughter and we have premeditated murder. Involuntary manslaughter is I get in a fight with somebody, I knock him out, he hits his head on a fire hydrant, and he dies. That's involuntary manslaughter. Premeditated murder is me knowing this dude, following him, stalking him, having some agenda, planning out how I'm going to kill him, disposing of the body, which obviously is a much more horrible thing to do. And so, like, why is hate crime a classification? Because that would be premeditated assault, right? Because you're targeting this person because of this thing, which should carry a heavier sentence than just random assault.
Sure.
And also, because the problem with classifying things as hate crimes is because how do you ever prove, unless we're all just filming each other all the time, that this person's kicking the shit out of me and calling me faggot, unless it's his word against mine and I'm going to win? You know what I mean? So it creates this really weird precedent where I think that this language is becoming irrelevant, but our groups are so desperate for power that they'll cling to these really, really outdated narratives in order to maintain that power.
Yeah.
So I don't really...
How many minutes was that? How long did you go for?
Oh, fuck you.
I mean, I don't really have anything to say, but I just think that, like, discrediting hate crimes or whatever, like real hate crimes, I mean, like a premeditated assault based on somebody's identity, those things we should not discount right away just because of this Jussie Smollett, this Bussie, SmallDick thing happening. I mean, even with that LGBT activist, like, these are pieces of shit. And pieces of shit exist, but they get attention. Pieces of shit get the media on.
Here's the thing,
them.
And this is what's really frustrating to me about like the dinosaur media, is that you can't be a piece of shit if you're black, if you're gay, if you're Muslim.
we aren't pieces of shit. We will never be pieces of shit.
No, we are, because we're white dudes. But I think that
no, we're gay.
But but that doesn't matter anymore.
They don't balance each other out.
No, because there's going to be some fucking white woman who's going to tell us that because of our male privilege, we've had such and such and such, and I think that at this point, white women are the most privileged people in this country, but they're the ones that
like
complain
the most.
You sound
like a fucking incel, dude.
Well, I mean, clearly,
because you are. I mean, we don't have sex.
It's like anyway, never mind. Do you really want to get it? You really want to get into that?
I don't actually, thank you, but I know you are.
Well, because now people are going to assume we don't fuck, but it's like
we don't.
That's literally what's going to happen right after this.
We
podcast.
Don't fuck.
But yeah, no, I just don't. I don't know. So anyway, let's get back to how we would fake this successful.
Oh, right. Let's get back to that segment. Play the music again.
No, the music's done.
Right. It was live. If you guys didn't realize.
Yeah.
So what I would do I mean, we've already talked through it. I've got something in my throat, and it's not a dick. Excuse me.
Right.
So I have to just vomit in my lap. So we've already talked about you can't involve other people. What I would do, I mean, we've also talked about this before. You have to pay in cash if you're buying anything. So you take out the money to buy these things that will be used against yourself in a hate crime. So you buy the rope with cash from a mom and pop store. You don't buy it from like a Staples or like a fucking Office Max or whatever, because there's going to be security. There will be cameras on you.
They
you
all
see
do
those
now.
big bubbles.
They bought the supplies from a mom and pop, like sort of Ace Hardware equivalent.
Damn.
Yeah, I don't even remember what it was
Well,
called.
then where do you go to a farmer's market? You buy a bucket that has a rope tied to it. You take that rope from the bucket, like a well bucket where you like crank it and it goes down into the well, it brings back up water. You take one of those buckets that's already attached to a rope from a farmer's market or something, pay with cash. They only accept cash. No cameras on the street in a farmer's market, probably. You take that rope. I probably wouldn't use bleach personally.
I know what I would use.
What would you use?
So a lot of this, okay, so the rope is a big problem because that's going to be...
I don't know what I was visualizing there with a rope going into a well. I don't know where that came from. I think I'm mildly somewhere on the spectrum as well. But like, sorry, you know what I mean though. You've seen those buckets.
I know exactly what you mean. I think that the rope would have to be something that would be stolen. So you'd have to steal it somehow. Ideally from like a friend of yours that rock climbs or something. That would be a good move. I think tying it into a noose would be stupid because that's such a production. I think that just some sort of like slip knot would be perfectly fine. Like a very simple knot. Right. So that's step one. Number two, for the bleach element, I would just get some sort of, again, this is you have to harm yourself. You have to fucking commit to this. So I would probably get lye, like some sort of like corrosive material, not put it on my face, but like on my arm or like my chest or something. And like I'd burn myself. You'd have to commit this. And then, but think about the visceral element of that. So it's like, not only is there the news, because bleach isn't going to do anything to you, but like a corrosive chemical is poured on you too. Ain't nobody going to doubt that shit.
Right.
So that's number two. Number three, you can't fucking do it in fucking Chicago. Like, he should have done it when he was on tour in some podunk or state rather, or city more specifically, that doesn't have the level of just all over cameras that a place like Chicago does. But even then, he still planned out where it was going to happen, where he knew he wouldn't be in view of the camera, but was too stupid to know that they would see them walking away. So it's like he had so much assumption as to like.
So where do we do it?
Okay, so
instead of Chicago,
we're in Los Angeles technically. So no, but we'll do it here, but we would do it in. See, like I'm trying to think if I could involve you in this.
Right. We'd probably have to do it separately. Each commit our own hate crime.
Unless we were married, so then you couldn't testify against me, or you wouldn't be forced to.
Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Great.
I don't know if California's the same way, but I'm pretty sure.
Wow, let's get married.
Yeah, see, there we go.
If we ever needed a reason to get married, this is it, Jordan.
Yeah.
I know you don't want to marry me, but
it's just honestly, I only want to marry you so we can fake a hate crime. That's really what I'm concerned about. But yeah, no, I mean, basically, I think that we can just wrap this up by saying it's fucking impossible. It's totally impossible.
We reached the end?
Well, not at the end of the podcast.
Okay,
but,
fucking good.
But yeah, I think
quick.
The point of this is that I don't think that this is actually physically possible to do.
Not in 2019.
No, and I also think
in
too,
the 70s
like,
maybe. But,
you know, I've been going to this weird esoteric thing about technology and where it's kind of
love that word esoteric. Yes, go ahead.
Because my mind is so fucking out there sometimes. But I was thinking about like what's to say that our phones aren't recording us all the time, right? And so if something like this happens, they're going to be like, oh no, of course your phone isn't recording you all the time. But if something like this happens, they can find the day and the file, and it's out there, and it's like. So
I mean, at the very least, we already know that our phone is pinging where we are.
Right.
It knows where we are at all times, bouncing off cell towers and figuring out our location. It knows I'm at your house, wherever that may be.
I think what's great about that though is if you didn't do anything wrong and something bad happened near you, it'll save your ass.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, even like I have the Apple Watch, like even that's got cellular, so that's tracking me. So it's like even if I didn't have my phone, I have this, which is good if you're not doing anything wrong. But if you're doing something wrong, there's no fucking way you're gonna hide it because they know where you are and they know what you're saying. I think as evidenced by we saw it truly in action, which was saying you said young Sheldon, something I'd never had heard that even existed.
Yeah, Bazooka Bongo.
The next day I have young Sheldon advertisements on my Instagram.
Fucking Sheldon.
Yeah, I want to watch a fucking show about an autistic 10-year-old. That sounds great.
You wrote your thesis on that, so like...
I didn't write a fucking... I don't have a master's. I tapped out, man. I couldn't fucking do that shit anymore. Anyway, so I think point being is that that you can't successfully fake it. But I want to move on to something a little bit similar.
Yeah, if you've skipped ahead, you just missed all of the meat of this podcast. What's next?
Now, I think this will be pretty meaty because I think this is probably even touched your radar. Has Captain Marvel touched your radar?
A tiny bit. So and I know you're going to be like, oh, white women.
No.
Okay,
well,
here we go.
Kind of. I mean, because
you will.
Okay. Well, what have you seen?
I've just seen tweets about it, how like men are kind of stirred up about it because like she can't do any wrong. Like I don't know. I haven't seen any trailers for it, so I don't give a shit about superheroes.
Well, that's kind of the thing. Like that's kind of where I sit too, because like I was pretty passionate about the Black Panther thing because it just was like an average movie. Like I would say like compared to like the whole Marvel run, it was like a B.
And I've talked to so many people, and they agree. Yeah. They think Black Panther was average.
But what's interesting is the marketing is so similar, and I think this is like a Disney machine. That Black Panther, they kept saying this is the first black superhero movie ever, and I'm like, well, it was Spawn, Blade, these things have been done. Blade might arguably be the first successful superhero movie that ever existed, with obviously a black lead, and now this one is acting as if it's finally a superhero movie for women. And it's like, you and I just watched Wonder Woman, which was excellent.
Yes.
But I
can think of another black superhero movie.
Oh, yeah.
You know the Disney Channel original movie, the one where his parents are superheroes?
I don't. I think I'm too old to have seen that. I forget
what it's called, but his dad like fights crime. He marries like a woman, and they have a kid, and the kid can fly or whatever.
I think
or he pretends to be able to fly because he wants to make his dad proud.
I don't know anything.
And
about
they're all
that.
black.
I think the last Disney Channel movie was the one where the girl like fucks the dolphin or something. She's got like some relationship with the dolphin. Maybe it's a boy. And there's also like that weird like gay motocross one.
Is that 13? What is it?
13 Reasons Why I Fucked a Dolphin, or
13th year.
13 Reasons
where the guy turns into a mermaid.
13 Reasons that it is positive to fillet a dolphin. A BuzzFeed report. 13 Reasons Why Dolphins Need Fellatio.
Oh,
you won't believe what happened.
With their little tentacle dick.
Yeah.
I hate that. I really hate that they have those, and I wish I could just replace them all with human dicks. I think that we all just
get disturbed by animals being sexual in any way. Because, like, we think it's, like, after you fucking bust a nut, how gross you realize what you just did. You're like, oh, God.
My sludge is everywhere.
So disgusting. Yeah. And then so to have an animal who you think it's like, oh, it's so fucking cute, and then it starts fucking molesting you. You're like, oh, no, this is real. What are we going to do?
Oh, God. Well, dolphins don't have they don't have like hands to grab you with.
No, so they just forcefully put their muscular body in
They
between
drown you.
They drown you, yeah, and then fuck your corpse.
Your dead butthole. Yes.
Your dead lifeless starfish.
That's a fantasy for somebody.
Oh, certainly. Yeah. Dude, I wouldn't. I mean, if tentacle porn is a thing, I'm sure there's some.
Dude, yes.
No. Oh, dude. There was a in the 60s they funded this study. I'm gonna get some of the details of this wrong, but it's mostly correct. Where they got a young, attractive woman, and I think it was to see about like the sexuality of dolphins. But they built like a house, and then had it like flooded, so then the dolphin could live in the house with this like hot like research girl.
No way.
And then she fucking jerked it off. Like just to see, like, and because she noticed that it would get like testy, and that would like calm it down. So essentially, was like, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if she like let it fuck her or anything. I don't think she would say whether or not she actually did let that happen. but she did.
Pink little dolphin dick.
Yeah, I don't know what dolphin dicks look like, and I don't want to know. And then, dude, you know what's so crazy is like if this podcast ever got any attention, me just saying that, how many fucking dolphin dicks would get tweeted to me at this point?
You'd love it.
Maybe
I'm gonna
well,
get
that's
a
what I'm
dolphin
afraid
prosthetic.
It's kind of one of those things like where you get to that really like dark side of porn, like when you're just on this fucking tangent of watching horrible porn.
Yes.
And you get to this point of like you start to watch something just so fucking intense and it's working, and you're like, oh no, have I like tapped into this like horrible part of myself?
Yes, yeah. I don't think that's true, but like I've fucking been there.
Yeah.
I think it's just a matter of like pushing the limit. It's like you get this sort of like addiction to watching things that are progressively more and more like kind of fucked up.
It's kind of like my the Reddit watch people die thing, where like I have this morbid fascination of watching people like die.
It's kind of, I mean, Dr. Drew said this on his new podcast. I think it was on the episode with Bobby Lee.
What's it called again? Dr. Drew After Dark?
Dr. Drew After Dark.
Yeah, you guys should listen to it. It's really good.
It's fucking amazing. But he had Bobby Lee, the comedian, on, and they answered a question, and the question was like, the guy who sent in the question was looking at porn, and is a straight guy, but found himself watching transgender porn. So like male to female porn. Or excuse me, female to male porn. So it would be like somebody who's like mid-sexual transition getting fucked, and he'd jerk off to that regularly. And Dr. Drew was just saying that it's just a porn addiction. If you identify as heterosexual and there's no sort of variation there, if you're dating a woman or whatever, the issue is not that you're attracted to... Not that it's an issue at all, but like the issue is not that you're attracted to...
Nice save.
Yeah, excuse me. The issue is not that you're attracted to somebody that isn't what you're usually attracted to. It's that you've started pushing this boundary and you're addicted to porn. You're addicted to this thrill of like, oh, this is kind of bad, you know?
Yeah.
So if you were watching, for example, not that you were, maybe... if you were watching dolphin porn...
Okay, dolphin porn. I was going to say, because I've seen trans... You know what's... I'm sorry, if you finish your thought.
No. That's... If you're watching dolphin porn, it's probably not because you're attracted to dolphins. It's because you're pushing this boundary and you're addicted to porn.
So there was one I was watching... there's like this horrible, dirty pig of a person that I like that he's so fucking dirty.
Who is this?
I don't really think I want to say on the podcast, but
you should tell me afterwards.
But I can tell you who the other person was. So like he made this video. He's always gay, but he made this video with Buck Angel, who I've talked to you about before. And
I think so.
Buck Angel's hilarious to me because he is so... if anyone doesn't know who that is, it's a female to male porn star. And what's so funny about... And I was saying to you, we were watching that show High Maintenance, and they had like that lesbian episode. And what I was saying to you about lesbians, it's so funny to me, and also about trans men, is that they're trying to emulate like an element of male coolness, and not one that I'm saying that either of us have, but like a Paul Newman, you know, like just a classic Steve McQueen kind of cool, but they just miss the mark, and it comes off as like cartoonish. And so with Buck Angel, it's like smoking cigars and leather everything, and you know, the goatee and like the barbed wire tattoos. It's just It's just like a weird, and then you hear it, and then you see this very masculine looking person. I mean, on the street you would just be like, holy shit, that's a very short man.
Yeah.
But then he speaks and it's like, hi, it's me, Buck Angel, and you're like, oh, now this is not cool anymore, and the fourth wall is now broken. And so like there's something about male to female seem to be able to skate without it being apparent at all. But I don't think I've ever seen the other way around, where it's female to male, where the second they speak, I don't know instantly. I guess maybe that's the point, is maybe I have and I haven't. But even then, it's like there's just certain things. I think because I am a man, and maybe that's what it is too. Is like
maybe
I can just recognize these things.
Women can probably recognize when like there's somebody who's male to female transgender. Sure. I imagine that's the case, honestly.
Yeah. But it's like something about like women's emulation of male characteristics always come off as like cartoonish.
Yeah.
And I think that actually goes the same way. I mean, you want to take like someone like Gigi Gorgeous. I mean, she's a total cartoon.
She's a cartoon of a woman.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gorgeous, but there's like this. I mean, her last name's fucking gorgeous.
Her name, yeah.
But she is sort of over the top, and I don't know what that's about. I mean, she looks great, but yeah, she
apparently, talking to that high-profile trans person who I won't name, me asking those kinds of questions were really stupid fucking questions.
Although I don't think that person is trans.
They are.
They are?
Yeah.
What? This whole time, I don't know.
What did you assume they were?
A woman. I mean, like, I thought she was born a woman.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yes.
No. Are you serious?
Really? I honestly thought so.
Wait, let me.
Are you gonna text me the name?
Well, let me just write it.
No, yeah, but it's just like I mean, because I've only known of her since, I mean, the last couple years, so I don't know any of her history. Yeah. So
seriously?
I had no fucking clue.
Because she's not.
I thought she was just like an activist.
She's going for like super feminine now.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But she wasn't when we knew each other. It's interesting because she's getting her hair done and stuff, and then before she was just doing this sort of weird like dyke mullet thing.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I don't really know what, and I think that's why I had that conversation with her, because she was on some TV show, and for the context for the listener, and a scene came up. Fuck, it's gonna give away too much information.
I mean, yeah.
And I don't really want to
nice.
name. I don't want to name people, but yeah. So she's a personality. It seems like though that she's become irrelevant. I think because that angle.
I think she is.
Yeah.
I know she was in like a movie once.
Do you think she's a bad actress?
I imagine she is.
Yeah, because she had no dialogue on this show. She was just sort of a like a character who was in like a I can't give any details or else I'll give it away. But yeah, no, she had no dialogue on the show, which makes me assume that she probably did. And then they did, because every time that she was on screen, they would just play really loud music, and it was like these dramatic moments. So I think they were like covering up for maybe how bad of an actress she was.
God damn.
But I don't know. I don't know that for sure, and that's why I'm not saying her name, because it would be unfair if that wasn't the case.
Yeah,
and
it's not nice.
But all I know is that she was a bad person, and so like if I was working with her, I wouldn't. But she really tainted my view of this whole thing just because she was so fucking mean about it. Like anybody asking questions or having any. Like,
right.
Because she's like, it's that kind of thing I'm talking about. Culture that is so disappointing to me is that ignorance is now equal to malice, and ignorance isn't a bad thing. It just means you don't know, or you don't have a lot of exposure. And at that point, I hadn't, I was living in Orange County before Los Angeles, so there was no fucking trans people in Orange County at that time. And also, this has become it's the topic du jour for the last like 4 or 5 years. So. Yeah, I don't really know.
Nice French. I like that. Kind of gets me a little misty over here.
Yeah?
Yeah, because I speak French, and you didn't butcher it this time. I'm proud of you.
Do you think it would make Juicy Butthole wet?
Juicy Butthole. Yes.
Juicy SmallDick?
That makes my butthole wet.
Wait, what is it? Bussie SmallDick. I
Bussie
totally think it's right.
SmallDick. SmallDick.
Got such a small dick.
Because it's, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry, Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel, yes.
So what have you seen? Sorry, I cut you off. So
I didn't see a fucking trailer.
No, I haven't either. I haven't. Well, I think I may have seen one on accident, but like I've not actively seeked them out because like for some reason this one isn't triggering me at all because it's so they just keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like like Disney is like kind of like. I know they're feeding things like Huffington Post and BuzzFeed like what to say, but they pretend like it's an organic campaign. And they're also, I can tell they're setting the movie up for failure the same way they did with Ghostbusters, where they're saying the only reason why people aren't going to like this or watch it
getting that.
is because they're incel, basement dwelling, whatever.
Yeah, kind of like you. It's already...
He's full of sass.
We've already gotten to that point. It's like people are making fun of the white men who are giving it like a bad trailer review.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know, maybe it is a bad movie, who cares? But I think people who are like super upset about it for like stupid reasons are dumb as well. I think the people who are like fueling it as like the best movie ever because it's a female lead and she's a superhero, that's stupid. But
So
I
I
also
think
think the people who are trashing it for no reason other than the trailer looks stupid are stupid.
So I think the big part of it for like the true, because I'm not like I never fucking read comic books or anything, but like I saw the first Iron Man when it came out. I think it was 10 years ago now, which is fucking crazy. It was a great movie. I remember I actually skipped school to just go and watch it.
You're a bad boy.
I was my senior year and I was fucking in physics and failing, so I was just like,
yeah,
I was like, whatever.
Yeah, you weren't ever like a good boy before that, so
no, I was not, or a good adult really for a long time. But so I went and saw it and I thought it was fun. So it kind of kept me on the trajectory of like when they release these new movies, I would watch them. But there were a few characters like, the Hulk, I don't really give a shit. Thor, I don't really give a shit. I like the eccentric alcoholic billionaires because I can relate to that minus the money.
Yeah, I was going to say, what?
But eccentric and alcoholic, those two things.
You check those boxes for sure.
Yep, they check really close to home.
I witnessed firsthand.
And so, but I think so. I think what the fans, what they're freaking out about is that from the looks of it, she's a Mary Sue type character,
right?
And so, which again, this goes to both genders. Like I'm trying to think of like a comparable. James Bond is kind of a Gary Stu, meaning like he can kind of do nothing wrong, has all the right words for women. He's fucking
for some reason. I was trying to think of like the male counterpart for Mary Sue, and I was like,
Gary Stu.
John Deere.
Yeah.
He drives a fucking tractor.
Yeah, I'm not really sure that that's that's them conquering Thanos is their tractor driving abilities, but maybe.
So Gary Stu, yes, James Bond
kind of is, yeah. And so, but I think that we as men recognize that and kind of go like, this is why we enjoy it, is because
sex was his downfall, wasn't it?
It is.
It usually is.
Yeah, it usually is. I mean, now, but if you watch the old ones, I mean, the only downfall about him having sex is that a lot of the fucking chicks die, and he's bummed about it for about 10 minutes, and then we move on to the next girl, who ends up being his sidekick, who he ends up fucking in the end anyway. So.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's all all fair. So like her being this whatever character doesn't really matter to me. But what I think is going to be annoying, and that what people are fearing they're setting this up for, is the last Avengers movie. I know you didn't watch it. I watched it.
Right.
Was Thanos has this like sort of eugenics type idea where if he gets all these Infinity Stones for the gauntlet thing that he has, he can eliminate half the population at random because his home planet is overwhelmed with there's too many fucking people, and that's kind of the reality of. So it's an interesting reality of our existence as well. There are too many fucking people, and like we talk a lot about climate change, but at the end of the day, we're not going to solve it because there's too many fucking people. But so I think it was kind of again, it's like it's a villain with a complicated motive. But what people are afraid of. And what they were assuming was going to happen is Robert Downey Jr. has been doing these movies for so fucking long that this was going to be his way out, sort of like Logan was for Hugh Jackman, where it's like he'll sacrifice himself to save the rest of the characters. But now with this movie coming out, the fear is that she's going to come out of fucking nowhere, and she's going to be the one that kills Thanos.
She's going to kick him in the nuts. Yeah.
And I have
I have
a feeling that was their plan. And I think depending on how this movie does, they may have to reshoot a lot of shit to fix it.
Interesting.
And I don't think it's going to do well. It was interesting because I went on Rotten Tomatoes and like almost all the reviews are out now. And of course, it's like certified fresh before it even got released, which I think Rotten Tomatoes is in Disney's pocket. But then a lot of the bad reviews are women on like really liberal publications, just saying that like if this was our first superhero girl movie, it's fucking boring.
Yeah,
is kind of what they're all saying.
Damn.
Yeah, and so I mean, it's plenty of men, and then Peter Travers from Rolling Stone let me actually read his review. Can you just talk for a second?
All right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I honestly think she's going to like warp in from like a wormhole and fucking kick Thanos in the nuts, knock out his Infinity Stones. I think his pair of Infinity Stones.
So this is just like the Rotten Tomatoes, you have like the little condensed version of the reviews.
Yes.
So this is what Peter Travers says. You could let's see. He gave it a 4 out of 5.
Okay.
You could ding it for convoluted plotting and retro style that flattens the usual Marvel fireworks, but a dynamite Brie Larson gives hell to cosmic villains and sexist trolls, and an orange feline named Goose is the best movie cat ever.
Oh, God.
And that's been a big thing in the reviews, too, is she fucking has this cat sidekick.
What the fuck?
Which is like, could you be any more offensive to women and their sad cat lives? It's like my ovaries have dried up, so I'm a cat mom now.
So Voltron actually had a villain who had a cat sidekick. And like
villains would have cats.
Yes,
villains always have cats because cats suck.
Turn around in a spinny chair with a cat in your lap. It's
exactly.
like James
Bond, exactly.
So I mean, Voltron had this. Oh fuck! I'm just gonna fucking gush about Voltron now.
You should.
I mean, like there's this villain that comes in like season 4 or something like that, maybe season 3, and she has no eyes, but she. Like her cat sidekick has eyes, and she like embodies the soul of her cat and like sends her cat out like a sentry, which is so fucking cool because her actual self is blind. She can't see shit, but she's a fucking dank ass fighter because she can see through her cat's eyes. Anyways, that's a fucking cool way to do really a cat sidekick.
Yeah. And then also like cats are like unassuming and could kind of sneak into things, and they're also liquid, so they can get under doors and do weird things.
Yes. they can.
But yeah, I think it's gonna be fucking hilarious if they do that.
Is it out yet, Captain Marvel?
Friday.
Okay. Do you want to
so
see it?
soon. Maybe.
Maybe I can suck your dick in the theater if you don't like it.
Well, last time you just jerked me off with the movie theater popcorn, which was really unpleasant. Gave me a rash.
You got popcorn lung.
I got popcorn dick. Speaking of shunking corn, but yeah. So I don't know. I think it'll be fucking hilarious. Similarly, it'll be hilarious if she ends up being the one that defeats Thanos. That'll be fucking really funny to me. And then what also will be really funny, and I'm hoping to God this happens, is that literally nothing happens to Jussie Smollett. Wouldn't that be great?
I think you'd blow your brains out.
No. I would find it so fucking funny because everybody would be upset. And I actually think that's one of the most beautiful parts about this is that this has united the right and the left. Like when the Covington thing happened, like again, didn't I call that one pretty immediately as well?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah.
Fuck you. Go fuck yourself, you huge ego ass.
But even then, like because they're so fucking triggered by that red hat that they still go like, well, that hat and those kids at a pro-life rally, which is a thought you're allowed to be pro-life. That's the problem with this country because we're on the side of moral right, which now has become aborting babies after or I guess infanticide is sort of their new jam, which is really interesting. And I'm pro-choice, but it's getting fucking loopy to the point where it's like, yeah, maybe we probably shouldn't have a little like tricky language about, well, we can resuscitate the baby after it's out if you choose to keep it alive. It's like, it was the weirdest. We're in a weird territory right now, but I think what's great about the Jussie Smollett thing, or Bussie SmallDick.
Bussie Smollet. SmallDick.
This was unifying the right and the left. And my only fear though about this happening is I saw a lot because I was like down the rabbit hole and how YouTube sort of curates the algorithm.
Sure.
I was down the rabbit hole of kind of watching conservative black people react to it. And I think that
you love that shit.
I do. But I think that what's troubling to me a little bit about it is I think that conservative black people are becoming more dominant voices than they were before. And the numbers are growing. And I think that they do not like gay people. And I think that this is because I think they're actually conservative. Like it's not like this kind of new like Donald conservative where it's people our age who kind of just like the fucking joke of it all, which is kind of where I'm not a Donald Trump supporter, but I find him funny objectively. Like he makes me laugh harder than any comedian that's on network TV at this point because he's just fucking ridiculous. And I'm kind of enjoying just riding in the clown car. And everyone should too. Like, stop fucking being so goddamn triggered. But what's been fun about this Jussie Smollett thing is watching both sides unite on it. So if nothing happens to him, I think that could be the unifying thing. Yeah. It's like the new OJ thing, but like black people kind of needed a win. So they kind of felt like, okay, this is whatever. We'll be on the side of we just want a black man to go free, even if he clearly did it. But I think on this one, black people are fucking annoyed too. And so if nothing happens to him, I think our rage might unite us. It'll be like our kind of like 9/11 moment where we all kind of put our differences aside and unite. But I think that the real victims in this are going to be...
Were you born pre or post Bussie? You know, the kids are going to be, you know, that's going to be the dividing thing between generations.
Well, I really want to make Smollett into a verb. Like, we were talking about that a little bit, where like someone just fucks something up, like a crime of some sort, and you go like, oh, they really fucking Smolletted that one. That was a serious Smollett. Ooh, a Smollett, gross. Do you think he'll ever work again?
No.
Yeah.
No. He'll probably try. But he won't. I think he's going to go to prison too. I think it's going to be bad for him. And it already is bad for him. He's ruined his life.
Can you imagine how fucking embarrassing?
Yeah.
That's the thing I actually have like a modicum of like empathy for him at this point.
Yeah,
I think because I saw it coming so early on that I kind of went through all the stages. Like I was annoyed. I was angry when he did the interview. And then watching the police chief's statement juxtaposed with the interview, I'm like, ooh, this is so painful for him.
I watched that video too. They cut it all together. Oh, it hurt.
The other thing that I think is going to happen, he's going to go into rehab. Watch.
Yeah. What is that? Attention rehab? What do you have for that?
I think he's going to... So one of the Nigerians was his Molly dealer too, which they found in the text messages. So he's going to say it's for that or something. And like him being on uppers and not sleeping was the reason why he thought he was some kind of psychotic break or something. I guarantee you that's the route he's going to go. And it's really, I think, frankly, it's the one way you can save face. Ooh, I actually almost forgot to say this. You know what I think that he should do?
Huh?
He should come out as trans.
Oh my God, that's a great idea, Jordan. Yeah, he should choose to be a...
It clearly works. Caitlyn Jenner got out of killing a woman with her car.
That's true. Yeah, nobody batted an eye at that.
They totally fucking forgot about that when she came out as trans.
Yeah.
So that's all he has to do is just come out as trans. And he can just keep his name too, right? Jussie?
Bussie?
Bussie? That boy pussy? But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say about that. But I do think that my advice to Jussie Smollett is come out as trans.
That's good advice, I guess. I don't know if I agree.
Yeah.
But you have every right to stand where you stand.
So we're nearly at the end here. The last thing I put on my notes was, what do you think the future of the podcast should be?
Oh, I like the audio. I think after doing this episode and coming to the end here, it feels really good. There's also just like the amount of work. Like this feels natural to me.
It does me too.
And it can just immediately be like exported.
So like, and one of the biggest issues we had, and why we didn't release the last one, maybe we will someday. Maybe it just depends on if the climate on those things cool off, then I think that we could talk about it.
Okay.
It was just, I mean, I can tell people it was just talking about people getting deplatformed and how kind of disturbing. And I think that will only be allowed to talk about that openly when it starts to happen to everybody.
Yeah.
So right now it's kind of relegated to people who have been smeared as being alt-right or whatever else, which is a really effective smear still. And I think it's waning, kind of like Nazi, how Nazi means nothing anymore.
Right.
I think alt-right is going to be diminished completely as well. But it's an effective smear at the moment. So I think that's what it was about, basically. For some reason, doing it this way I feel more levity, which is the problem with the last one we had. Like, I felt pressure because we were on camera. I was not in a really good mood. And so it just felt dark and not fun. And so we felt like for you guys, for the few people that listen to this,
we love our fans.
I mean, yeah, the people that respond, and that's the other part of it too. I mean, if you've made it this far into listening to it, tell us what you want us to talk about, because I mean, this one was pretty easy, but sometimes I do run out of things depending on how, because like now that we're doing it audio only, we can actually probably do them every week. Like when you're here and I see you. But other than that, I don't know. So like, just say kind of what you'd like to hear, and then
that's a great prompt for our listeners. Because I mean, I'd love to talk about things, but having ideas for it is also great. I mean, I know there's a huge demand for me to talk about the new Pokemon right now, which we didn't get to in this podcast, unfortunately. So maybe next time we'll talk about it. Maybe there'll be some new information.
All the kind and pure things, and then Sean's like a very like good person, and I have lived a life of
sin,
repute and sin.
Yeah.
And also I'm older, so that may be part of it. But I don't suspect that Sean will go into, because I think
I'll spiral and start doing like opiates or something.
That's a bit of a leak.
What?
I don't think I've talked about that.
No, it's just an example for me.
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, well, that's just a totally arbitrary example of a drug that people spiral into.
You can cut it out. Cut this out.
No. I don't really care talking about that shit. But anyway, so like that's kind of the thing, is like I told Sean before we did this podcast that something about it being audio only, I am totally fine with just being filthy.
Yeah, exposing your bussy to
exactly. Well, I can expose it. And it's kind of like the Howard Stern thing where they'd have girls in and take their tits out, and like it would be kind of the magic of radio. So now you can just assume that I'm spreading my cheeks and showing my asshole to Sean right now.
Yeah, we should be naked next episode.
I think so too, and just talk about like how our flaccid dicks and how they disappoint us in the side.
I'm never flaccid. I'm rock hard always.
Right now?
Yeah.
Well, on that note,
thanks.
Thanks, everybody, and shunk my corn.
Oh, man.
Goodbye, Bones.
Bye.